How's it going, everybody? My name is The Starks and welcome to a brand new The Last of Us video. There's a rumor going around that The Last of Us 2 multiplayer could be free to play. On an article provided by Game Rant, they state, a new job listing at Naughty Dog seemingly points towards The Last of Us Part 2's multiplayer being free to play when it eventually launches. The Last of Us 2 multiplayer was a highly wanted but sadly missing piece from the game's original 2020 launch, with fans eager to learn more about the project. Although nothing is confirmed at the moment, a new job listing at Naughty Dog may hint that The Last of Us 2's multiplayer being free to play. While The Last of Us would receive tremendous acclaim for its narrative-driven adventure, many gravitated towards the game's clever multiplayer experience titled Factions. In the brutal mode, players select to be either a firefly or a hunter and must perform well in matches in order to provide for their group of survivors. It was a fittingly gritty spin on performance-based multiplayer, and with the announcement of The Last of Us 2, many players were excited simply to see what the new form Factions would take on. Unfortunately, though, the mode didn't launch with the game, with very little actually being known about The Last of Us 2's multiplayer besides the fact that it was in development. Originally spotted by Dexerto, I think is how you pronounce it, a new position at Naughty Dog points toward The Last of Us 2's multiplayer being free to play. According to the listing, the position is for a senior monetization / economy designer on Naughty Dog's first standalone multiplayer game. The listing doesn't explicitly mention The Last of Us 2 multiplayer, but as it is the only confirmed multiplayer project in development at Naughty Dog, it is reasonable to assume this listing is for that. As for the suggestion of the multiplayer being free to play, that comes from the jobs call for the building of monetization system, where players can attain items through earned or purchased currency. The article goes on to say that the senior monetization economy designer will be instrumental in the financial foundations of The Last of Us 2's multiplayer. Listed as some of the responsibilities of the job are design sustainable monetization systems in line with the game's vision, promote a holistic monetization strategy with the goal of improving retention, and coordinate with design and art teams to develop a strategic and opportunistic plan for the creation of in-game items, among many other tasks. Interesting requirements of the position include understanding player psychology and narrative tone, reinforce and patent Naughty Dog balancing act of game and narrative. And essentially the article goes on to explain, talk a little bit about PlayStation and its kind of hold on the industry and its single player experiences that they've been giving out to a lot of consumers over the years. And they just mentioned that at the end of the day, that the likely hope that PlayStation and The Last of Us multiplayer catches on, like its past multiplayer offerings have failed to do. And they were specifically talking about Destruction All-Stars and Fall Guys in the past have been on PlayStation console experiences, but have never reached the iconic status of PlayStation single-player properties. And I absolutely agree with that opinion. There's been some good multiplayer games over the years that PlayStation have produced themselves, and I'm talking exclusive experiences here. But the ones that I actually really gravitated towards have always been, for the most part, Naughty Dog's multiplayer experiences, because they're fun, they're engaging, they're creative, and like they seem to want is improving retention, and they have that really strongly done on The Last of Us Factions, the 2013 game mode for The Last of Us. Now, I think the concept of free to play for multiplayer is very interesting and could be fitting for The Last of Us if they were to implement a Battle Royale mode, which I think I've spoken about on my channel a few times before. I've been kind of vocal on this on Twitter, but I would absolutely adore a The Last of Us Factions Battle Royale. However, I don't want Naughty Dog to get into this Battle Royale phase of designing it, and then it doesn't really hold to the real classic form of Battle Royale that seems to resonate and keep people's players' retention as they want for their list that they stated for their listing here, the way Fortnite does it. I mean, Fortnite is one of the like the greatest battle royales that I've ever played. In terms of really having a large audience, I'm not saying it's the best battle royale. In fact, I thought Apex Legends had it really strong in the beginning of 2019 until they started to do too many updates, too many characters, and changed up a bunch of their maps. I think if they held on to that originality with their first map and kind of added things, instead of doing what Fortnite does every season, which is blow up the map and put new things, you know, I think for me that kind of ruins the pattern that a lot of games, you know, have. And it's really interesting that these companies tend to change a lot, because there's nothing wrong with change, but I think that some fans might not appreciate that change. And even if, you know, a huge community kind of goes against or is vocal about this particular change, I don't think that's going to really be substantial enough for the company to be like, okay, we're going to change it. And especially for Naughty Dog. I mean, Naughty Dog, no offense, I love Naughty Dog, but they haven't always been the best with communicating with their fans and implementing things that fans want. I mean, we look at Uncharted, which had an odd leveling system when it first, Uncharted 4 that is, released for its multiplayer. I made a video about it. I spoke to 2 developers at the time. It was Robert Cogburn and Vineet Agarwal, who I played a few matches with them. Great guys, by the way. They seem pretty fun and nice and whatnot, especially Vineet. And it turns out, you know, they were surprised that fans actually wanted a leveling system. And I remember putting out a tweet there, and Anthony Newman said, well, I mean, there is a leveling system. It's just others can't really see it. And I'm like, well, that's the problem. I mean, I don't know any other multiplayer game where you can't see people's levels. And I'm not talking, I know, well, in a lot of cases you can't. Like, I know Fortnite, you can't really see your opponent's level. But the point is, Naughty Dog is not the greatest when it comes to communicating with their fan base and their community. And so for them to possibly do a Battle Royale game mode, or even just make their multiplayer free to play, this might cause some challenges, especially with their PR team, and ensuring that there's a lot of communicating back and forth with their developers and what they're already creating to make this multiplayer thrive. But also, they tend to have a great stuff and good ideas and then fall back on it a year or 2 later and never update the multiplayers again. And so if Naughty Dog is going to make a standalone multiplayer video game that might include Battle Royale or some form of PvP, as well as person versus computer type of modes in their multiplayer, they have to ensure that they have a strategic roadmap plan like they did with Uncharted 4. But the fact that it ends is I hope that they don't implement something like this and then have it ending, right? Because if that means that this is a standalone multiplayer game that they only intend on working on or updating a few times, and then they're going to forget about it, and this is going to be the ideal multiplayer video game, we're never going to touch it again, this is it, and that's that. And that creates a lot of problems. I think the reason why Fortnite, Apex Legends, perhaps even Rainbow Six Siege, a game that I currently play on my PC a lot of, is that these games do change a lot. And like I was initially saying, is change is not always good, but it can be. And so I hope Naughty Dog figures out a pattern, to obviously ensure that what they're making for this Last of Us free-to-play game or Battle Royale game or whatever it's going to be, is that they really focus on developing a balance between the content that they're making, the content that they intend on publishing, the content that they're not, and ensure that there's good communication between the community and their and our feedback, not their, I mean our, because I know I'm going to be playing this game once it releases, is our feedback, and ensuring that they really listen to it and value our opinions on it. But nonetheless, I am intrigued about this rumor that The Last of Us 2 multiplayer could be free to play. I'm also curious to know your guys' opinions and thoughts about a free to play The Last of Us multiplayer game. First off, it would be the first free to play game that Naughty Dog has ever made. Like, if there's no purchase necessary to play it, this will be the first free to play game. I know Uncharted 3 had a free to play moment. I think it became free to play over the I guess the concluding years of its existence, but it wasn't the full game. It was just the game mode, right? So it'd be interesting to see Naughty Dog do this. Do you guys agree with a free to play The Last of Us 2 multiplayer? Do you think a Battle Royale concept would work in The Last of Us's world, or would you much prefer the standard classical version that they had with The Last of Us Factions and just have, PvP interrogation again? obviously survivors and a few other game modes. I'm curious to know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. And of course, with that being said, I have been the Starks. Peace.